welcome back to Call the Damn Leads, the show by sales professionals for sales professionals. I'm your host, Drew B. Wilson. With more than 2 decades in sales, I've seen it, been through it, heard about it. Now I'm bringing it to you, my favorite people in the world, the sales community. Because let's be honest, this is the greatest job on earth. Doesn't matter where you come from, what background, what personality type, you can create a pretty amazing life for yourself in sales. Today's guest, no stranger to the journey, a fellow sales trainer, someone who's been in the game probably as long as I have, and my new friend, Mr. Ben Brown. Welcome to the show, sir.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I am crushing the day. You know that, brother. And yourself?
Outstanding as always.
I love it, man. You know, I want to jump right in. You've been in sales a long time, so let's hear one of your crazy sales stories.
Let's go. The title of this is called 11 Minutes. The Patience of Sales. I tell people that there's different systems that you need in sales that are laws that you never break, right? One of the major ones is the first one, talk loses. We always heard that long time ago, and sometimes people think that's a myth. One of my best stories was years ago about, I won't say how long because that tells you how old I am, but it was actually before we got to 2000. And I was in one of my sales jobs on the floor with 125 people. And we knew the laws. And I didn't really believe in the laws until I've done certain things. And that's why I tell sales is an action item. It's something that has to be done. It's not something theory-wise. And so I believed in this. So I'm on the phone with the gentleman. We're talking about $3,000 in the deal. This is before cell phones was really kicking in. This before we had fax machines. We didn't even have computers on our desks when we were calling people. One black phone and a notebook, doing $160 a day, all outbound, mostly cold calls. So that's where I cut my teeth at. So I'm on the phone with a gentleman from Texas. We're talking about computer-based training software. And I did my pitch just like normal. I have my card that I have my 10 steps still to the day with the book. So I'm at step number 9, close on close. So the first thing you say in close, the first one, talk loses. So in a room, if something exciting happened, they would shut it down for something as far as listen. So I was not the top guy. I was pretty good. So I got to the close and I asked the guy, so what card you want to put it on? Now, back then, we didn't have mute buttons. All we had was basically you could just unplug the phone, but you could still hear.
Yep.
The manager always had access to who was on if the person was still on. So as you did, when you got to that point, you did your job. You pulled a mute button. And I had a little ball I would play with. And I'm like, okay. Now, and then I actually had a clock stop on my desk. Just so I knew the rules. So once I said, what card you want to put it on, I hit the clock stop and hit mute. I'll start talking to friends. So anyway, this and that, because you knew the system so good. You're like, oh, let's see how long it takes. So I'm sitting there playing with my manager, and I'm sitting there. 5 minutes in, I do the point. He gives me the okay. Guy's still there. 5 minutes. Dead silence. For most people, that's 5 years, right?
Yeah.
6 minutes go by. At mark number 7, my manager announces to the room, Brown got a 7-minute on the phone. Whole room, if they wasn't on the phone, goes quiet. They take my call, they put it up on the intercom with 125 people, and you just hear silence. And I'm just sitting there. Now, the whole room starts looking at me. That's pressure. No, we love it. We love it. I've eaten it up. I'm still sitting there playing with the ball, throwing back and forth. I pointed him at 8 minutes, still dead silence. Still dead silence, right? So I'm like, hey, this is going. I'm looking at the clock. 8 minutes in, 9 minutes in, still dead silence. I look at him at 10 because we always go at 10, still dead silence. 11 minutes and 35 seconds in, the gentleman goes, well, I still didn't say anything. So at 12 minutes and 21 seconds, he goes, I guess we'll do this.
Come on. I love that stuff, man. And you know what, Ben? It takes a lot of skill and discipline to be able to hold out that long. Yeah. And, if you haven't had that drilled into you, And I'm sitting here even thinking to myself, when's the last time I let someone go that long in a conversation and just not said nothing? It's so powerful, and it's an authority play, because again, whoever's speaking is essentially trying to figure out where they fit into the situation. And I love how you made it an immutable law as a part of your process. And so you get the deal. What happens in the room after that?
Well, everybody, does, but one of the important part I teach people is that when you're building a sales process, when you're doing a sales pitch, you're building a house, foundation, the walls, the concrete, the sheetrock, you build everything. When you get toward the close, you're building the roof. The roof is everything. The close is a little part like a chimney. And on the chimney, you should be waiting in the chimney because that's the only way they can get out, because you built everything around, right? So there's no assuming that they should close in the end if you have the right process. Most people, when they use too many closes, they're not building the structure right, and that's a lot of work. So the process that I use, you're building a structure around them that they're allowing themselves to build around. So when you get towards the close, there's no way for them to escape. You've already confirmed everything. It's like a court case. A lawyer, his job is to make you guilty. If you don't have enough evidence, they walk. So his job is to do that. Same thing as a salesperson. Your job is to confirm they're guilty of wanting, needing, and affording your product. Don't assume anything because it's ruled out by questions, right? So I don't have like a book of closes in my process because I do all of that up front. That's the way I've been taught. And I'm like, why would, and then I hear, well, you need to, say this on a close. I'm like, I don't work that way. I don't need closes. All I need is just to regurgitate what you already gave me earlier in my earlier steps to confirm, because buyers are liars. I'm just going to go back and say, you told me this, right? Yes. Let's get you started, right? I don't need to quote something from a book saying a horse to water and lead, and if the mouse jumps off the rabbit and the rabbit jumps, and you said in your lifetime that, and many people in Europe came across, and all of this kind of stuff. You got to remember, I've seen the slick guys use. I don't need any of that. My clothes is this big.
What card do you want to put it on?
Then I could do, the law, the rule is the first time they tell you something, it's not real, right? So you don't acknowledge the first. Oh, I got to think about it. Make them reiterate it, and then you segregate it and you break it down and things like that. The normal logic thing that you do. So from what you're telling me, the only thing you're telling me is this, and if we can alleviate that, we can move forward, right? Yeah. Okay. So it's down to price. What price you need to be at?
Freaking man, Ben, this is why I love having these conversations with professionals, because there's so many different ways to be successful in sales.
It's like Taekwondo. You're going to go defend yourself. You go through the yellow pages. I tell people, you can go get jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, karate, all of the Aikido, all of these different things. They all work the same if you know how to use them.
Amen.
But if you don't know how to use them, you get jumped in the alley, you sitting there trying to reread a book, it ain't going to work, brother.
You know what? But this brings up a good point, though, Ben, because this is where I feel like a lot of professionals, and I'm going to call them professionals for their own sake, because they're not all professionals, but I want them to feel like professionals. We're trying to help them here.
Right.
They go to one class, and then they're like, I'm a karate expert. Like, don't worry about me. I watch them Bruce Lee flicks. Like, I got you, dog. And to an extent, you can fumble your way through a sale. Yeah. You can fumble your way through a fight, and you can have some level of success.
Right.
But if you want predictable success, if you want to be able to be in the moment and know just based on how these people are using their body or moving around or the words that they're saying, where they're getting ready to go, so that you can put your arm up and block and be prepared to like pull that ninja move and walk them to where they're trying to be. That's what makes you a real professional.
Right.
So Ben, where was it when you first realized that, like, hey man, I'm doing this wrong. I need this process so that I can be successful?
I have been in gym sales. I've been in car sales until I got to computer sales where they had a system that was like detrimental. It was taught that you're getting in sales, you're either getting better or worse every day.
Mm.
There's no even, right? It's a performance. So if you go out for a weekend or you quit sales for like a month or 2 months, you got to get back into it. It's like being an athlete. We're the athletes of the company. We can't come in and just sit down on the bench. We have to, a programmer can go in there and just start touching keys and just look at the screen. And customer service just answer phones and do that. And a marketer can just come up with ideas. The salespeople downstairs doing gymnastics, they're on the phone. They got to come in. They down there with the coffee. They're down there with the Java. You ever been to a Christmas party with the company and the whole company's there? And then you got the executives up front, and you got the management, and you got the marketing team, and you got everybody up front like this here. And then where's the salespeople? They're back at the open bar.
They're all huddled up talking shit about the marketing team.
They're in the back
talking.
talking.
Leads are.
And
And they're like,
guys.
man, I tell you what, boy. So, but this, and this is the journey of a sales professional.
Right.
And a lot of the times what happens, though, is you're one of those guys who's at the open bar shooting the shit with the guys. And at some point you decide, you know what, man, I could do this better than them.
Yeah.
And you make that transition to being your own boss, essentially. Right. And I know that's where over the years, you've had these positions, you've created this opportunity, and now you've basically built a program where you help people establish these processes. Is that correct?
Right. And I tell people, sales is simple, but it's not easy.
Amen.
Let me reinstate that for you. Sales is simple, but it's not easy. I could take this right here, this very thin book. I could put this into a full semester of college. If you want to add body language, eye motion, contact, things like that, it's 10 steps. 10 steps. Normally when I teach people, it takes me 3 months to go through this so they can understand the concept. It's not what you do, it's why you do it. People don't understand why they do it, they won't do it. They'll tell you.
Come on.
They'll tell you all day, I'm doing it. No, you're not. I'm listening to you on the phone, bro. Oh, well, so you're trying to sell me. Okay, you're trying to sell me. So I always tell my godson's 27. He's doing very well, working for T-Mobile, killing it in the game because I taught him, and he's like, I said, either somebody's always buying or somebody's always selling, right? You selling me, I'm selling you on this call. We're selling other people. You're married. When you ever stop selling, you're done. I'm divorced. I stopped selling, right? Something happened. The product wasn't good anymore, right? So that's what I'm trying to tell people. Life is about sales. So my concept is I bring a lot of variety and I bring a lot of continuity between what they're currently doing to sales. So it makes it real, whether it's music, arts, athletics, it's the same kind of thing. So once they get it, most of the time, about 40 days into working, normally it was when a light comes on. They go, oh, it's way simpler than I thought. And I go, yeah, because you don't know, you've not been taught. College doesn't teach it. High school doesn't teach it. If you've been in a more serious program like back in the days, IBM had serious programs, and where I came from, the call centers back in the 90s, now it's about lead generation and all this kind of stuff. We had no back of a magazine. We had a card. That's all we had was a card. You would pick up the phone and call. You would write them down in your book. You would go back through your leads through the notebook. That was your database. We were pissed off when we got computers. It slowed us down. I got to enter this. I ain't got time to be typing this stuff in. We got to get to the next call. Like we're hitting the next call. And that's how we roll. And so it's coming back now. I just had a podcast interview 2 days ago. I was telling people communication we're getting burnt out. And all these younger guys who've been not communicating with each other, getting burnt out. People getting tired of looking at emails. They want to talk. AI's coming in with all this stuff. You could tell AI, I ain't got time. I want to talk to a real person. Yep. And that communication is coming back. So those who can do that are going to have the big advantage because email marketing, everything has this cycle. Bell bottoms is coming back. So,
you know Man, I want to touch on this for a second because I had this conversation with someone recently. They're like, well, Drewby, they were asking me about some of the follow-up flows and the automations and things that I use. And they're like, well, that sounds like a lot of text messages and emails. And I'm like, yeah, it sure is. because we're seeing an average of like 5,000 advertisements a day. So I have to be in front of you as often as all of the other advertisers that exist. And the difference for me is that I still pick up the phone and I call the damn leads, so that not only are they seeing my name, but now they're putting a voice to the things that they're seeing.
Right.
There's congruency, there's continuity, as you mentioned earlier. That's a great word.
Right.
And as you mentioned, so many people are trying to hide behind the little black screen, because they're not confident in themselves. They're not confident in the product. They don't have the same passion that they used to have for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that comes through in their line of communication, which is why it's so much easier for them to hide behind that. But as you just mentioned, people are getting smart, man. We're tired of the AI. And at this point, most of the time, if you've been in the game at all, you look at an email and you go, you didn't write this. You
Let
didn't
me
write
let me
this.
give you a better analogy.
Come on.
Right. All right. So dating is the same thing. So I've been single for 4 years, and then when I got back in the game, I was married for 13 years. I didn't understand anything. So here's a golden nugget. I always say golden nuggets. And when I say golden nuggets, write this stuff down because it's very important. 80% of sales is confidence. 80%. So I'm not a sales coach. I'm a sales performance coach. My job most of the time is get them to understand the no's. You're a dating coach. You understand you get some guy out there that's socially awkward into the real world on a date night out in Tampa, out at the bars. He's going to have negative. He's going to get turned down. You have to understand that. Half of the problem is telling them that you're going to get the no's. 3% is the average in sales, no matter what you're selling, right?
That's
So you
about
got
right.
97 no's. So I get some guys to go chalk marks. Give me 100 no's. I guarantee you'll get 3 dates. I used to walk in a bar. I hate to say this. So back in the days, I came from the Marine Corps where we didn't care because we didn't see women a lot of time. And when I got into the real world, and guys said, Brown is vicious at dating. He's vicious. I'm like, I'm 5'7". I'm not. Now you have to be 6 feet because girls back in those days you could have game. So I would go to the bar and I said, I'm gonna leave with a girl in 40 minutes. Oh, you can't do that, Brown. We just got here. They go to the bar. I would hit up every girl in the bar. I would play the numbers game. And that's what, and I'm like, you're not interested? What about your friend? No, go to the next one. And the girls was like, this guy, he's in here for a reason. He's, and then the science and the math of it is after you get to about the 15th one, the one that you hit number 3 or 4 would come back up to you and go, what's wrong with you? You crazy? Like they would hit you and you'd be like, oh, I'm just playing around. I want to meet somebody. I want to hang out. I don't want to sit out here all night. You're here to meet somebody, right? Yeah. And the close of it is right then and there. You go, did you drive or did your friends drive? And she goes, my friends drive. And I'm like, next time, are you ready to go? Like that. And then I come up to the bar and the guys, I say, I'll see you guys later. What do you mean? We just got here. I'm like, I'm out. You drove. I'm like, you taking a cab tonight? There was no evens back then. And they were like, went in there closed. Went in there closed.
But
went in there closed.
It's so funny how people will be their own biggest roadblock on the road to success.
Yeah.
They will literally make every excuse not to have some sort of effort.
Yeah.
And what I love about sales, and for me personally, Ben, where I find that I've been able to be successful is like, I'm not a heavy closer. I'm not that like in your face, rowdy kind of guy. I don't like that. And even to an extent, I'm not as brave as you are in the willingness to just go up and ask every girl at the bar. Thankfully I'm married 10 years now and I don't have to worry about that anymore. But like, God forbid, if I ever had to, man, I'd have to put my sales hat on, right? And I'd have to get back in the game and be ready. But what I love about this is and this is what makes sales so fun, is you knew who you were, what resources you had available, and you basically made the best of the situation you were in.
Yeah.
And what I encourage any listener to remember is that you have the same opportunity. You have resources. You have, things that make you skillful and successful. And you have an opportunity to be able to go out and do whatever it is that you want to accomplish if you will do the work. Hey, you want to meet a girl? You gotta meet, do
this
something.
Is powerful. If we didn't have this,
Right.
You can call anybody anytime. You can contact anybody anytime, anywhere. You have multiple ways to contact them. It's the same thing. When I got out, I learned about, Tinder, and I was like, oh, I want to date again. Let me go on the apps. I'm not a bad looking guy. Took some photos, you know, with the fish. I was
Yeah.
fishing, in the car, driving the car, the bait, And I went on Tinder and Bumble and all that. Yeah, I did okay, but I understand how horrendous it was. It's 80 to 10 or 80 90 to 10 guys to girls and that type of deal. And I was like, after about a year of that stuff, I was like, man, this is crazy. I'm like, who am I? I'm Ben Brown. So how did I change that to get what I want? Shoot, I start hitting public supermarkets. I went back to me because the guys are not doing that. They're too shy. They're
Amen.
using their tech. So I started going to festivals. Hey, how you doing? My name is Ben Brown. How are you? You look very nice. Going back because I realized none of the guys was doing that because they're too lazy trying to do this. And some of them
Mm.
had courses, which I bought, to learn how to date, using Tinder, and I had to learn how to text. Don't text too much. This and that, all this stuff that was a script and how it actually worked. But I realized back then, I was like, I'll go to the festivals. I was picking up. How you get all these? I'm like, you on the apps, bro. I don't use the apps. I shut that stuff down. That's for handicap. That's for handicap folks. I'm the real deal.
But you know what though, this is where for me I think that understanding marketing as a sales professional, understanding your avatar. Who
Yeah.
are they? Why
Right.
are they doing the things that they're doing? What are they trying to accomplish? What's going through their mind?
Right.
And and then when people stop being so selfish and worrying about what they're going to get out of the deal and they start focusing on, all right, well, what is my prospect going to benefit from here? What are
Right.
they trying to accomplish? What are the things that matter in their life? Asking the right questions, being able to kind of go back to that ninjutsu of like, cool, they're going to do this. I know my avatar is this age, they're in this situation, they're trying to accomplish this goal in this time frame. And knowing that, I'm going to put myself in a position to be around those kinds of individuals. As you mentioned, hey man, I knew that going on the app meant that I was fighting against 1,800 other people who were trying to, meet this individual. Guess what happens? Internet leads. You're buying them from a vendor. They're being sold to 500 other people at the same time. So guess what? It's the same deal. You want to get into the game? Put yourself in the position where you can be of value by understanding your prospect, what they're going through, and ultimately, Ben, my guess is for you, because you've studied the game so much on multiple different levels. You're a student, so you're always trying to learn and better yourself, which
Yeah.
that's a whole other probably 30-40 minute conversation we could have today. But the fact is, you study the game, you implement the processes that you're learning, and then you trust the process by putting yourself in position to maximize it.
I,
And
s- I,
so,
te- I tell people the process will set you free.
amen.
So you have to understand this right here, even today. This is 20 years later. I still go back to this. It's like, and all my students, it's like you're not, you're never going to be the best. You need tools, right? And just remember where you're at in your process. If you don't know where you're at in your process, you're being disrespectful to your prospect. Because I should be able to tap you on the shoulder. What step you on? Oh, dude, because I should be able to come in and take over exactly where we used to do that. What step you on? Number
Mm-hmm.
6. Okay. Hi, my name is Ben. How are you? My friend just stepped out for a second. Let me ask you a question. Like, boom, I can continue the conversation. I mean, that's how it flows. But you have to put in your repetitions for that. Most people are not willing to put in the work to practice because it's a skill. It's like me teaching you how to bead weld. People don't know what bead welding is, right? You know how difficult that is, right? Imagine trying to do that but learning from a video. Bead welding takes years. You normally an apprentice for that. So sales is the same type of deal, but the skills to pay the bills, but the process will set you free. So if you don't have a process, most of the time when I work with companies, first thing I go, what is your sales process? They look at me. I'm like, that's the problem. Nothing you can replicate. Nobody's going by nothing. Everybody's winging it. Everybody's a God gift of sales. Everybody could talk, but how do you gauge what they're doing? Right? You take me somebody who can do the process, who's very shy, which I've seen many times, and they just stick to the process. And you got this very arrogant guy that comes in and just does this. that guy who sticks to the process is going to, over the long term, is going to kick his butt, because somewhere in his process is going to get discombobulated. Sales going to go down. We're going to question why they're going down. He can't tell me, and I can't help him. So now he's going to sell me on the fact that the leads that I'm providing him is not adequate, or it's Christmas time, or Labor Day's coming, or a hurricane hit in that area, or their mom passed away, or the economy's down, people not spending money. We have a new president. They'll tell me everything. So now you're selling me on the fact of why you're not selling, right?
Mm,
So that's the problem. Somebody's always selling. So why are you selling me? I same leads, right? No, but this and that. So that's telling me you can't tell me what the problem, the process. You should be able to say, back in the days, I'll give an example because you guys ain't used. So they recorded all of our conversations. I lived in
that's a great way to train.
oh my good. I do it with my students. So you can hear the performance, because most of the stuff you're not picking up. Where you going at? So, I mean, I've been working for a company for 3 years. You go through ebb and flows. You mentally cannot $160 a day. When I left there, it was like I was in boot camp for that period. I went to a company that sat down and was like, you gotta, oh, I'll give you a funny story. So I've been working this company commission only for 4 years, Monday through Friday, 9 to 6 on the phone. Like they'd be every time on the phone, like PTSD on the phone. Why? We didn't have computers. We didn't have coffee breaks. I smoked cigarettes because the only time I could get a break was to go outside. Why are you smoking cigarettes? I don't need
I
this
need a
stuff.
minute, man.
I need
Give
a
me
minute.
my 5.
Hurricane would hit, evacuation. They still had us coming in. I mean, there was, you talk about, sweat boxes. This was it. Boiler room was it. So the main thing was, in that room, you had so much pressure, and everything was on there. And so you would be on the phone, and your chart would be on the wall. Everybody knew. They'll tap you on the shoulder. They take you in the back. What's going on? Nothing. No. Nah. What's going on? Nothing. They'll hit the button. Play. Where you going there? What's going on? Okay. They'll write it down. Now you're losing money. You're off the phone. They hit play again. Where are you going there? Yeah. Step number 6. Okay. Go back in the training room with the amateurs. People just got there, and you're in the training room with the video going through the step you learned 3 years ago again. And then you're sitting there with a card going, so let me ask you a question for that amateur before they let you back on the phone. You fell off.
But hey, that's gladiator school. And that's what people are missing. That's what they don't have anymore. So many people have gotten soft. So many people have decided that it's okay to make excuses and to create, every different avenue for selling themselves and anyone who will listen on why they're not successful. And Ben, I'm sure we could probably sit here and nerd out for like the next several hours about this. And I'm excited because at some point, man, I may even want to bring you back to tell some more stories. Because again, I love working with professionals. But for now, what's the best way for me and the listeners to come and find you, check out your book, learn more about what you have going on? Because I know I'm going to check it out, and I have zero doubt that anyone who's listened today has had some fun and is going to come check you out too.
Master the Art of Closing the Sale on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, everywhere. 360 Sales Consulting, you find it on YouTube. My website's 360 Sales Consulting. But I make it simpler for people because people are, I say everybody's idiots. Some people are just full-time. So you look at it, it's meetwithbenjamin.com, and you can schedule a call, or based on the assessment, there's a number of ways in there that you can escalate yourself to gravitate towards me and figuring out if I can help, because that's basically what it is. And I love what I do. It's teaching, right? It's passing on. It's building confidence with people, building young men into grown men, building women to be more confident in their fields. And so working with people is like my talent. I love doing it, and seeing the progression that they actually get from it is tremendous.
Beautifully said. And again, this is why I love working and doing these shows with other professionals. It's an honor to know there are others out there who have the same mission of helping others be more successful, as long as they're willing to work, as long as they're willing to call the damn leads. So listen, if you guys enjoyed the episode, share it on social media, send it to a friend, coworker, colleague, somebody that you know will enjoy it and also maybe learn a thing or two. And if you have a great story, if you've been in sales a long time, you know that you could bring some value to the show. I'd love to have you as a guest as well. Just like my new friend Ben here. Head over to callthedamnleads.com/podcast. Send us your information. Get booked on. We'd love to have you. Ben, thank you again so much for your time today, man. It's been a true honor.
If you like it, love it, sell it.
Amen. We'll see you guys on the next one. Go call the damn leads. Take care.